Alright, wonderful people, welcome back to this wonderful channel where we bring you back-to-back updates and information as it is hot. In case it's your first time of joining us on this wonderful channel, kindly go ahead and subscribe, like, comment, share, and also remember to on your notification button so that whenever our news is dropped, you will be the first to watch it. As it is, the Prime Minister of the Biafra Republic government in exile, Mazi Simon Ekpa Ohamadike 2 of ndị Igbo odogwu nwoke ndị be anyị si na amụa nwoke nya bụrụ nwoke anya bụ okeke nwaanyị nọ na adị ntị njọ. Meanwhile, before I'll be bringing you matters concerning Mazi Simon Ekpa's cut outing today, you need to know that today is a remarkable day in the history of Biafran people. There has been some things that have been happening with Simon Ekpa, and it makes me to think, who is this guy? Who is really Simon Ekpa? Because there are, first of all, the order of his court appearance was on the 30th of May, when Biafrans do commemorate, remember the death of their loved ones, those who lost their life in the 1967 to 1970 Biafra Civil War. It was the same day that the Finnish government decided to try the Prime Minister of the Biafra Republic government in exile. It is showing something. It is painting a story. It is showing that the spirit of the past heroes are coming alive. It is showing that the Biafra spirit is alive. Now, today is 11th of June. Simon Ekpa will also be tried today. He will be undergoing his trial today. And something significant also happened today in the history of Biafran people. Today in history, Mbanefo swore in Ojukwu, Chief Justice of Biafra and Ambassador Potentiary Sir Louis Nwachukwu Mbanefo swore in General Emeka Ojukwu as the Biafran head of state on this day, June 10, 1967. I don't know if you are looking at this trial. Why is it that the trial of Mazi Simon Ekpa came up this month? That is a significant month, a month of remembrance, a month that a lot of things happened in the Biafra land. It was the same day, the same month that Ekpa is undergoing his trial. I don't know if you are reading the handwriting on the wall. I don't know if this is telling you a story. I will still remind you some things that Simon Ekpa said. Simon Ekpa said that he is going to be the end of the Republic of the Omanumanu, that the end will come with him. And he says something like, looks like a prophecy, that everybody should wait and watch, that the Biafra that everybody is waiting for is coming soon. And as it is now, Biafra has never been on the world platform like now. Yes, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has tried a lot and he's still trying. He's our hero, he's the first man. But it has been on the trial, Biafrans has been on the trial on the court of Nigeria. But as it is now, remember that one thing people should know is that as Mazi Simon Ekpa is being tried, all Biafrans are passing through trial. Because the soul of Biafrans are with him, those who are gone and those who are living. Everybody is in support. Everybody is behind him. Because he is there, because he is bearing the flag, he is representing the people. Now, let me read this important history to you. On June 10, 1967, an important symbolic and political event took place in the newly declared Republic of Biafra, a secessionist state in southeastern Nigeria. Justice Louis Nwachukwu Mbanefo a respected jurist and former justice of the Nigerian Supreme Court, formally swore in General Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu as the Biafran head of state. This event followed closely after Ojukwu declared Biafra's independence from Nigeria on May 30, 1967, citing the massacre of Igbos in northern Nigeria and the collapse of the federal system and justification for secession. The ceremony held on June 10 was more than a formal gesture. It was a powerful assertion of Biafran's sovereign identity by taking the oath administered by Louis Mbanefo. Ojukwu not only reaffirmed his role as the head of state, but also demonstrated his full authority to represent Biafra on the global stage. The event emphasized his position as the principal figure in Biafra's leadership, with the capacity to direct both democratic governance and international relations. Justice Louis Mbanefo's involvement lent judicial and moral authority to the ceremony. As one of the most eminent legal minds in his time and a strong proponent of Igbo self-determination, Mbanefo had joined the Biafra cause in the wake of Nigeria's political crisis and civil unrest. His act of swearing in Ojukwu gave a ceremonial and legal stamp of legitimacy to the emerging Biafra leadership. At this early stage in 1967, Biafra was rapidly establishing its government and institution in anticipation of confrontation with the Nigerian federal military government. The swearing-in ceremony formed part of a broader effort to build a cohesive national identity and secure international recognition. Just weeks later, on July 6, 1967, the Biafra war would erupt as federal forces launched a military campaign to suppress the secession. June 10, 1967 stands as a pivotal moment in Biafra's intense history. The oath administered by Louis Mbanefo to Emeka Ojukwu marked a turning point in the consolidation of Biafran's statehood and underscored the Republic's aspiration for sovereignty and international engagement. Louis Mbanefo, the first Igbo lawyer, hailed from Onitsha in Anambra State, while Chukwuemeka Ojukwu was a native of Nnewi, both in Anambra State. Alright, these are just few history of the significance of Mazi Simon Ekpa's trial, and also why is history repeating itself. It means that something had happened. Something had happened. It is in the same month that Ojukwu was sworn in by Mbanefo. Is the same month that Simon Ekpa is going to court. It is the same month that the Biafra declaration took place. It's the same month that Ekpa is going to court. I don't know if you are you reasoning so? Are you thinking with me? No, I don't know if you are thinking with me. Drop your comment on the comment section. And this is to show you that something is happening. Ekpa said a lot of things, even though a lot of people do not understand him. But if you have been following this guy, you will see his antecedents. You will see his quality. You will see his presentations. You will see a lot of things that follows this guy, and you will know that he is on the line. First of all, bringing out Biafra Republic government in exile was one of the things that nobody thought about, because after the 1967 to 1970 Civil War, Gowon declared no victor, no vanquish. It was also a time that Ojukwu went for exile, and that is to say that Biafra has went for exile. And when Ekpa came, he captured this spirit and redeclared the Biafra Republic government in exile. That government in exile is still existing until the real state is gotten. Nobody has ever come up with this thought. One thing people do not understand is that Biafra is a spirit. Nobody's spirit does not die. Human beings die. Spirit does not die. Ideologies does not die. Yes, Ojukwu might have passed away. Mbanefo might have passed away. Ifeajuna might have passed away. Philip Effiong might have passed away. All these people might have gone. But the spirit of Biafra still remains alive in the children of Biafra. Still remains alive. Still remains alive in the spirit of the people. Alright, this is where I'll be winding the curtain on this particular edition. And if this is your first time of joining us on this wonderful channel, please go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Like, comment, share, and also remember to on your notification button so that whenever our news is dropping, you will be the first who will collect. And thank you for listening.
Okay, but we saw the Minister of Interior, TUNJI Ojo, was also in court today.
TUNJI Ojo, did he enter? Was he allowed to enter? No, that is the capital.
They didn't
allow because they know that they say. See, let me tell you, anything concerning Nigeria has a limit when it comes to international.
And his colleague were there.
I told you, and I'm repeating it again. Anything pertains to Nigeria has a limitation when it comes to international level. Do you understand? It has what? A limitation. That is why he was not allowed, him and his friend. But the people that they needed in the court are the people that they are allowed to. And those ones are those three foolish Igbos. Pastor Udochia, William and Carlo, and William Carlo now.
Pastor Carlo,
Isaac Carlo, and Pastor Udochia, and William Walker. Three of you, I want you to know that the Chuko Kikabiama, Nkekere Nigwe Nenuwa, Nenunanya, Ukura Abona Ninu Nukuru, Nihunu, Aqua go on Nebe, Unuagabekaria, go on.
The presiding judge began the court session by harshly condemning the prosecuting lawyer for presenting a false witness in the previous session, emphasizing the importance of truth in the justice system. The prosecuting lawyer accepted full responsibility, apologized, and promised to revise his vetting procedures for witnesses moving forward. Despite the previous misstep, the prosecutor sought to introduce a new key witness, a Nigerian police officer, claiming he had crucial information against the defendant, Simon Ekpa. Simon Ekpa, a trained lawyer himself, asked to cross-examine the witness before any formal testimony, arguing the need to verify the authenticity of the witness due to prior issues with credibility. During cross-examination, Simon Ekpa exposed inconsistencies in the witness identification, an outdated ID card, lack of a current warrant card, and failure to meet standard police identification procedures. Seizing on the doubts raised, Simon Ekpa's lawyer accused the prosecution of repeatedly failing to properly vet witnesses and requested the judge suspend any further witness presentations by the prosecution. The judge demanded clarification on the verification process used for the witness, and warned the prosecuting team that future lapses in witness credibility would result in suspension from the case. The prosecutor claimed he had relied on Nigerian authorities for witness selection and promised more rigorous checks moving forward, trying to shift some blame to Nigerian officials. Despite the earlier credibility issues, the witness testified that Simon Ekpa's social media posts incited villagers in Nigeria to protest and attack government property, citing interviews and evidence gathered. Despite the witness testimony, the major damage to his credibility and the prosecution's repeated errors led to visible relief and joy on Simon Ekpa's side, indicating strong courtroom momentum in his favor. In court, Simon Ekpa's lawyer exposed flaws in the testimony of a police officer, revealing that the officer was not a social media expert, lacked direct evidence of incitement, had no recordings of key witness interviews, and admitted that villagers might have acted on pre-existing grievances rather than Simon Ekpa's social media post. The police officer acknowledged that Simon Ekpa was not present at the scene, did not directly instruct violence, and that merely sharing and discussing posts isn't criminal. The officer could not prove coordination or incitement beyond speculative interpretation. The presiding judge reprimanded the prosecution for bringing unprepared and unconvincing witnesses to court, indicating that the case against Simon Ekpa might be weak and suggesting that Simon Ekpa could be innocent. Simon Ekpa's second courtroom win sparked emotional reactions and tears of joy from supporters. The public and media are eagerly awaiting the next session, which is expected to be one of the most crucial hearings in the case. It was a chilly morning in Finland, the kind where breath floats visibly in the air and the sun hangs low in the sky. But inside the courtroom, the atmosphere was electric, charged with anticipation, tension, and unspoken questions. For Simon Ekpa, a trained lawyer, political activist, and controversial figure of Nigerian origin, this was not just another court appearance, it was a defining moment. The courtroom was packed, not just with legal professionals and journalists, but with supporters, curious onlookers, and members of the Nigerian diaspora in Finland who had followed the case from its earliest days. The heavy doors of the courtroom had barely closed when the presiding judge addressed the court with a stern, unwavering voice that cut through the silence like a blade. Right from the beginning, the judge did not mince words. With a measured tone filled with restrained anger, the judge directed his comments toward the prosecuting lawyer. The judge criticized him for what he called a disgraceful violation of the justice system, the presentation of a false witness in the previous court session. This was not merely a procedural error, it was a breach of ethical and legal expectations, and it struck at the very heart of what the court stands for. The judge reminded everyone in the room, in no uncertain terms, that truth must form the foundation of every legal process. Justice, he said, could never flourish in an environment polluted with dishonesty. The prosecuting lawyer, visibly shaken and perhaps overwhelmed by the judge's direct condemnation, did not try to defend his previous actions. He stood with bowed head and admitted his fault. He accepted full responsibility for the mishap, apologized to the court, and gave his word that his future witness vetting procedures would be more thorough and transparent. There was a somberness in his voice, a recognition that the court had lost a measure of confidence in his ability to present credible evidence. But even after acknowledging his error, the prosecuting lawyer surprised the court by requesting to introduce a new key witness. This new witness, the prosecution claimed, was a police officer from the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The prosecutor described him as someone who had critical information concerning the case against Simon Ekpa. According to the prosecutor, this officer could draw a connection between Simon Ekpa's social media activities and acts of civil unrest in Nigeria. The weight of this claim was immense. If true, it could turn the tide of the case. But given the damage already done to the prosecution's credibility, the courtroom responded with skepticism rather than curiosity. Simon Ekpa, who had remained calm throughout the judge's remarks and the prosecutor's apology, stood up and made a request. He asked the court for the opportunity to cross-examine the proposed witness before any formal testimony was accepted into the record. As a trained lawyer himself, Simon Ekpa argued that it was essential to verify the authenticity of this new witness, especially in light of the previous incident involving a false witness. His argument was rooted in logic. If the court could be misled once, it must take extra care to avoid being misled again. The judge allowed the cross-examination to proceed, and what followed was a methodical and at times uncomfortable unraveling of the prosecution's case. Under questioning the witness, the Nigerian police officer presented an outdated identification card. He had no current warrant card to prove his active status in the Nigerian police force. When asked about the proper procedures for verifying his identity and qualifications, he gave responses that were inconsistent and vague. The courtroom grew more restless with each passing minute. It was becoming clear that this so-called key witness was not prepared to meet the rigorous standards of international legal proceedings. Simon Ekpa, seizing on the growing doubt in the room, continued to question the witness with precision and restraint. He focused not only on the witness's questionable credentials, but also on the larger implications of the prosecution's methods. Was it a mere oversight, or was there something more troubling beneath the surface? A pattern of negligence, perhaps even intentional misdirection. Sensing that the tide had turned, Simon Ekpa's legal team rose and addressed the court. They accused the prosecution of systematically failing to vet its witnesses. This was not a one-time mistake, they argued. This was a pattern that undermined the very integrity of the case.
Thanks for tuning in to Smart Okason TV show. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share to keep the intellect flowing.